Welcome to another episode of Not That Hard to Homeschool, the podcast for real people so that you can confidently, competently, and yes, even contentedly provide the high school education that is best for your teens and your family. I'm your host, Lisa Nehring from NotThatHardToHomeschool.com. Is social role selection? I'm glad you asked. I wrote a master's thesis many years ago on why parents chose to homeschool their kids. And one of the things that I found out was that it was primarily because of two reasons. Now, this is back in the 90s when there was less than 500,000 homeschoolers. So this is decades ago at this point. But really, parents homeschooled then for what I believe are the same reasons that they homeschool now. Number one, for educational reasons. Number two, for social role selection reasons. What is social role selection? Well, social role selection, you're really familiar with it. Whether you were bullied in high school, your kiddo was, whether you were voted for prom king or queen, or maybe your kid was, that's all part of social role selection. It basically means the pecking order in whatever social group you're in. So where do you fall in to that social group and community? And many parents at that point were pulling their kids out of public school to homeschool them because their kids were on the lower end of the pecking order in social role selection. They were being bullied, they were being name called, some of them were being physically beat up, and so the parents are like, not a safe environment, not the kind of social role I want for my kids. I don't want my kids to be at the bottom of the pecking order, and so I'm pulling my kids out of school. And honestly, I think that that is a big reason why so many people are homeschooling today as well, is because we're seeing the pecking order in school and going, you know, I'm not really sure I'm down for this revolution, so I'm going to create my own. Hence, we pull them out and we homeschool them, or we put them in a combination of private, UMS, micro school, online school, or whatever, but we take back ownership for the social groups that our kids are in rather than putting them into a public or private school that is run pretty traditionally, meaning they go first thing in the morning, like 8 a.m., and they stay till 3-ish. So when you're in those kind of situations and communities, oftentimes there's not enough adults to manage the social role selection, and so the kids sort it out on their own. And honestly, for some kids, it can be a real Lord of the Flies experience. They don't feel edified, they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard. And for kids who have any kind of learning disorders or special needs, might be doubly gifted, might be actually gifted, social role selection can be really brutal for those kids. And if you guys have a student like that and they were in a situation like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so not just brutal, but they might just be missed altogether. Like their disability is not seen or understood. They're just told that you're really smart. I don't understand why you're not getting the grades you should be getting, which just leaves the student feeling like even more mediocre and beat down because they don't know why either. They need a little bit of help. They need some oomph and some firepower behind them. So social role selection is really important when you're thinking about education for your kids. In my opinion, it's one of the three pillars of education. Now, I want to back up even further. I think most parents, their biggest concerns for their kids are medical and education. The two questions are, how am I going to keep my kids alive? How am I going to train them to be vocationally able to support themselves in a family? And so education is really one of the main concerns and questions for parents. How am I going to give the kids the skills that they need to succeed in life? And those skills consist of, you got it, social role selection, academics, and also interpersonal or soft skills. Now, if you've been listening to any of our podcasts or YouTube or been on any of our Facebook Lives, you know that I talk about these three things all the time, at least academic skills and soft skills, because your kids really need academic skills. No doubt about it. Those with academic skills are going to be out in front in this fourth industrial revolution with the global gig economy that our kids are going to live and work in. What are academic skills? Well, It used to be that if you knew a lot of stuff, if you had a lot of information in your head, you were really considered smart. But definitions have changed as we're in this really high-tech society. Everybody has a cell phone, which means you have a Google firepower behind you. And really, it's not who owns the most information at this point, who is considered the smartest, but it's who's able to synthesize and synergize information and iterate quickly. Now, if you've been watching SpaceX at all, you know that Elon Musk can iterate very, very quickly. In fact, he just had a rocket go up and come down yesterday, and he's got 5 more built. So that is crazy. He is just so fast. He is obliterating space agencies around the world because he's able to synergize and synthesize information very, very quickly. And those are skills that our kids need. Those are the new academic skills. We've been hearing about AI. Listen, I use AI products on the weekly. I love them. They are powerful tools. But here is the deal with AI. Your kids need to have foundational academic information and knowledge under their belt before that they can use AI well and use it with any kind of a human. And that means AI is readily available to them. They're probably using it without even realizing it. I mean, if you have Alexa in your home, there you go, or a cell phone or whatever. But in order to really use some of the tools like GPT chat and use it really well and efficiently, they have to have basic foundational skills. And if you cheat them on that, or if they're cheating themselves on that, they're going to be behind the 8 ball when it comes to being able to really compete again in the 4th Industrial Revolution. Now, these digital AI tools are readily available. You can use a lot of them for free. I follow some AI gurus, and some of the stuff that is happening in the field of tech is just mind-blowing. Honestly, I'm kind of loving it. However, like any tool, like your microwave, like your cell phone, like your car, has to be used responsibly, and you need some training in how to use it. With that in mind, be on the lookout for True North Online Academy's 2526 catalog, because we have some really cool classes that are going to teach your kids how to really use AI and tech responsibly. Because as you know, we love tech at True North, but we also believe that solid academic pedagogy is going to lay a firm foundation for your kids, not just academically, but morally, spiritually, etc., etc. So, academic skills, number 1. Number 2, soft skills. Listen, your kids need to know how to communicate effectively. They need to know how to critically think, back to how to use AI tools responsibly. They need to know how to collaborate. Again, they're going to be working in a global gig economy. That means they might be on Zoom with people from around the world. And listen, I do that on the regular. It is so crazy to me. I have WhatsApp and I talk to people internationally really pretty regularly. And I live in South Dakota in the middle of nowhere. So these tech tools are really making the world a lot smaller and a lot more accessible. So being able to communicate really well by both written and verbal word is going to just make such a difference in your kids' lives as far as their employability, as far as being able to really create opportunities for themselves. So communication skills are so very important. Again, go to the True North Online Academy spring class selection if you're looking for some lit and comp classes. We've got some spring options. If you're looking for some speech options, we've got that. I think we've got copywriting or Right to Ignite this spring. We've got a research writing paper this spring. So we've got some great communication options for you this spring. And then we've got some really exciting new classes coming fall 25-26, so stay tuned for those. Okay, so you've got academic skills, you've got soft skills, communication skills, absolutely, critical thinking skills, more important than ever before. Why is Elon Musk a billionaire? Why did Trump win the campaign? Critical thinking skills, how to read the data, how to understand things, how to move very, very quickly. I mean, I don't want to get into a political debate, but there's a lot of really cool takeaways from what's been going on the political scene and internationally. So critical thinking skills, so very important. In fact, I've got a Perplexer right here. This is, we don't sell this, it's Perplexers by Mindware. I love these little books. I do them myself, deductive, inductive thinking. But if you're looking for some great basic critical thinking skills, check out our informal and formal logic. We've renamed them to middle school and high school logic for the fall. I think these are must-take classes for every single student, because why? It will teach your kids fallacies, so very important. how to discern truth from falsehood. It will teach your kids logical syllogisms and how to really sort through things. If you look in the New Testament, Paul was a master logician, and he used formal logic all the time. He used formal logic to lead a pagan world to the cross. Pretty powerful stuff. So if you don't have a good logic program, I highly recommend ours. Father Wesley Walker has been teaching logic for us at True North Online Academy for the last 5 or 6 years. And sadly, he will be leaving us this year, but Sarah Grebe will be taking over the logic classes, and they're going to just be as great as they were under Father Walker. The other great way to teach your kid critical thinking skills is through teaching them Latin. Now, of course, Latin is going to teach them communication skills, because we as English speakers use 15,000 anglicized Latin words. So we already speak some Latin, right? But if you study Latin as a language, not just word roots, but as a language, you've got so many moving parts. You've got conjunctions, declensions, you've got word order, you've got culture, history, etc., etc. And so it's a great critical thinking tool. I love starting with an ancient language because it teaches your kids how to study a language, and then from there move on to a foreign language. At True North Online Academy, we often have students who are taking Latin as well as a modern foreign language, or both biblical and modern Hebrew the same year to get 2 Hebrew credits, etc. So if you've got a linguist in your home, or you need to stack some credits, let us know, because we can help you out with that, and we can get you some language credits really fast. And the cool thing about our foreign language department is all of our teachers who are teaching the language speak it fluently. Wow, what a bonus. Or they're in the country. So we are teaching France from Italy, Hebrew from Israel, Spanish from Mexico, and that is just so cool because there's real world application right there in the classroom. Hold on, I'm going to take a drink. So for soft skills, you've got critical thinking skills, communication, collaboration. I've talked about this so much before. Just by being in our classroom on Zoom at True North Online Academy, your kids are learning how to collaborate with others around the world. And again, this is going to be the world that they live and work in. Collaboration and then creativity. Now, creativity is near and dear to my heart. I've always been a closet artist. I've done a lot of fiber arts and crafts throughout my life. Absolutely love the creative aspect. I've done a lot of writing and poetry and stuff like that. But if you feel like you have a kiddo who's just not a natural artist, then they need some skills. BJ Preman teaches some really basic drawing that are so fun, and honestly, we've had kids in there who are selling their work and still going to BJ's classes. But she's got Cityscape that's going to be new in 25, 26, and she's got botanical drawing and figure drawing, animal drawing, video editing, of course, and then some other really fun art classes. But if you're looking for an art class this spring, Art 2 is coming in January. And if your kids have not had a class with BJ Preman, they need to, because she is so much fun. She's a self-taught artist, and she's a speed painter. So she goes on stage with big name Christian music artists, and she does speed painting to their songs. It's just so cool. So creativity. So your kids need academic skills for sure. They also need soft skills, interpersonal skills, which we just talked about. And then take a look and think about the social role selection and the opportunities that your kids have with social role selection. Now, one of the criticisms against homeschooling all the time is, will my kids be socialized? And here's the deal. Yes. If they're raised in a social group, they'll be socialized. That might be a family, it could be a wolf pack, it could be public school, church school, whatever. But if they're in a social group, they are being socialized. The difference between kids who are homeschooled or non-traditionally schooled versus kids who go to public school is kids who go to public school are socialized to a same age culture. And kids who are socialized in a homeschool or non-traditional school, I'm not talking private school, but I'm talking micro school or online school, they are being socialized to that specific group. Again, this goes to social role selection. Do your kids have more opportunities or less? And sometimes the answer is less. But the less means that the opportunities are higher quality and they are more authentic. So that's a confusing word maybe, but I think authentic social roles is an important one to really think about as you're considering where your kids are going to go to school in this next year, because you really want them to be in social roles where they're going to learn something, they're going to grow, they're going to hopefully have the opportunity to serve others, because we don't want social role selection to be just that they're the top of the heap and they got to the top of the heap by stepping on everybody else, because that teaches them lessons we probably don't want them to learn. And maybe that's just the way life is, but I really believe that, the whole thing with the FBI training people to understand a counterfeit is they really study what a dollar bill looks like. And I think the same is true with social opportunities. So if we can give our kids opportunities to be social and to be social, have social role selection opportunities that are authentic, that teaches them values that we really adhere to and admire, then that's going to just help them throughout life. Anna Knob is going to be teaching a class called Biographies and Memoirs this coming fall. I'm super excited about it because my husband went to Fuller Seminary in California, and there was a leadership master's degree at that point. I think there probably still is. But one of the first foundational classes was a biographies class, because everybody knows leaders read biographies. And so if you have a leader in the making, or you want your kids to be more of a leader, or you're thinking about social role opportunities for your kids where they're stepping into leadership, Biographies and Memoirs is going to be a foundational class for them, because it is going to teach them how leaders think, what leaders do, and what opportunities they're going to have available to them if they step into a leadership role. Okay, so we've been talking pretty fast here, like this is my MO, right? But as you're thinking about where your kids are going to go for school next semester or next year, think about academic skills that they're going to learn. Not just academic classes. What academic skills are they going to take away from the classes that they're in? Now, I remember in high school, I took a lot of classes. I did a college prep, honors track, and so there was a lot of classes to be taken, and we were expected to take them and get really good grades. And it just felt like sometimes we just studied. But honestly, I wasn't even sure what we were studying half the time. I got to college, and one of the first assignments I had for Comp 1 was to write an essay. I literally could not have defined what an essay was for you at that point. And so one of the things we are really mindful of at True North in our classes is, what are the course objectives? What do we want the students to take away from this class and this lesson? We want them to know how to write a 5-paragraph essay. We want them to know how to write a research paper. We want them to know how to critically think about the information that they're reading and taking in. So we're really clear about the course objectives. And as parents, I think that's something that would be really valuable for you to think about. What are the takeaways from the classes that I'm investing in, be that a curriculum or a co-op, micro school, private, or online program? So academic skills. Are your kids, do they have the opportunity to learn soft skills? Now, if they're in an in-person group, be that a public or private school, a micro school, or a co-op or whatever, they probably have the opportunity to really develop some soft skills. What about online programs? Listen, the soft skill opportunities can vary from 0 to like out of the box, right? So at True North Online Academy, we keep our classes small sizes, with the exception of Dr. Moon's classes. They get a little bit bigger, but generally we keep our classes to 20 or under students in the class. And we require that the students have their videos on. We are very specific about those requirements because of this. We believe that education takes place best in relationship. Now, if you study education at all, which I do, you are going to realize that AI is taking over education. And some of the cutting edge programs have your kids in front of an AI generated bot for a couple hours a day, and they get all their school done in those 2 hours. And some of that can be really good. I mean, we use self-paced classes at True North too. And we have, in our family, we use some apps that help us learn faster. So we're not opposed to that. However, most kids, their brains are craving interpersonal interaction, not pixelated interaction. And AI is probably going to be pixelated. So think about that too. How can your kids really be in front of a human being in some way, manner, or form? And again, back to our live online classes, they're small group for this reason. We want the kids to get to know the teacher and for the teacher to get to know the students, and we want the students to get to know each other. We have had a lot of friendships created and developed at True North Online Academy. We actually have heard of families who fly to each other's houses to spend summer holidays together. We have a couple kids in our group that they go to a camp together every summer, and they're from different parts of the country. So that's one of the great opportunities about online learning if it is developed to be that. Now, a lot of online schools, your kids don't see any other students. They log in, they see a talking head for the duration of the class. They don't get responded to in chat. They can't ask in real-time questions, and then they log out and they have homework. Not so at True North. We take time for the students. We're really working on making the class time dynamic and interactive so that the students can talk and interact with the teacher and other students. And then we have a very robust learning management system that is a virtual campus. So every classroom has a virtual classroom, and then we have an overarching virtual campus. So it's not just an assignment and grading center. So, and Anna's on here, and she's Anna Knob, one of our teachers, and she said Wesley Walker and her were just discussing meeting up. I know that they've really bonded over ice hockey. So that's one of the beautiful things about our team too. Like at True North, we have 26 teachers and an admin group of like 3 to 4. So just around 30 people, but we've all developed friendships and relationships, even though we're all over the country. And actually we have 3 teachers out of the country. So we really try to bring that kind of community and relationship to our classes. So again, does your student have opportunities to develop soft skills in their academic environment? And then again, social role selection. Now parents, you might feel like you're dropping your kids off and you've outsourced so much of what your kids are doing to the teacher or to the administration or to the program. But one of the things we do at True North is we say in the orientation, parents, we are in relationship with you. We're a team. So it's parents, True North, and the students. We are making up your kids' academic team. And if you don't have a team like that, I would really encourage you to think about having a team for your kids. I've worked with Olympic athletes, and they have gone on to compete in the Olympics, and here is what I know about Olympic athletes that I think is very transferable information. They have coaches for everything. They have a coach for their sport. They have a coach for their nutrition. Most of them are in private homeschool online kind of programs. They have a coach, usually a tutor along with the online program. They have a coach for their social media. They have a coach for their academics and the Ivy League that they're going to go to. They are coached up. What is the transferable information? Listen, people are very intentional about what they're doing and where they're going. And the kids who get there, they're the ones who are coached up, and their parents and them are part of a team, a broader team. So if you don't have an academic team, join True North Online Academy. That's what we're here for. We provide free academic advising. We have a performance series test that will help you understand exactly where your kids are academically by grade and individual ability. It gives course objectives, a super great diagnostic tool, and we have an amazing, robust community. Now, if you're not on our mailing list, get on our mailing list because we've got a Black Friday special you are not going to want to miss. Our 25-26 classes are about ready to, actually, you can purchase them now. We've been working super hard this year, but our calendar is pretty much like 95% done. So you're going to want to make sure that you get in on that Black Friday special if you want to get anything at True North, especially classes, live online classes. And we do have some really fantastic self-paced classes as well. I want to tell you about 2 info meetings coming up this coming week. I'm going to do an info meeting on Monday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and it's a general True North info meeting. So if you want to know anything about True North, come to that info meeting. I'll do a presentation, let you know who True North is, what we do, how you can fit in, what we can do to serve your family, and you can ask all the questions. On Tuesday, the 26th at 4 p.m., I'm going to host a dual degree info meeting, and this is for anybody interested in their kids earning a complete bachelor's degree, accredited complete bachelor's degree, during the time it takes them to complete their high school diploma. So if you go through the dual degree program at True North, your kids will graduate with both an accredited high school diploma and an accredited bachelor's degree. If that's of interest to you, you're not going to want to miss that info meeting, 4 o'clock on Tuesday. I will post both the registration links in the comments as soon as I end this live, because I'm not great at multitasking, but I'll get that done for you. And if you have any questions in between, we'd love to hear from you. Again, we've got some really new, exciting classes coming up. And of course, our spring classes are going to start early January, and it's a 15-week semester. And listen, you can join our spring classes whether or not you've ever taken a True North class before or not. You can purchase one class, you can take the whole smash with us, and we're here to serve your family. That's really, I was talking to somebody yesterday, a business person, and they said, wait, like, how are you funded? And I said, well, we're for profit. And they said, well, you're so missionally minded. Like, how does that work? And I said, we're kind of unique. And I love the fact that our teachers are very missionally minded. We love educating. We love teaching. We love sharing information. We love equipping students so that they can really succeed in a world that really needs a lot of lightness. And your kids are light. You guys are raising amazing children. We love coming alongside of the work that you're already doing and supporting you and being part of that broader team and part of that coaching environment in your life. So if you would like to jump into spring classes, we're here for it. And if you're already ready to decide on fall classes, go check out the catalog, truenorthhomeschool.academy. The last thing I want to tell you is that if you want your students to start that dual degree program in January, absolutely they can jump in and do a half a year or a full year over the course of the summer of one college year done. So if you're interested in that, come to the info meeting. And if you have questions, you can just shoot me a PM or leave a comment below. Would love to chat with you. And if you want to know about the 15-minute free advising or the 2-year academic advising that we just provide gratis to you, let us know. We also have an ed advising, which is a little bit more robust. The advising is done by Tamara Poole at this point. She is a phenomenal advisor. She's not going to just sell you a class at True North. She's going to really advise you on what's going to work best for your family, for your student. And we're not for everybody at True North. We know that. We're good with that. But the people that we're good for, we're great for, and we love having you guys be partnering with us to really create exciting educational opportunities for your kids. We have more to share with you about some of the tweaks and changes that we've made at True North, and I'll come back and share those. But check out the info meetings. You guys have a great night. I'll talk to you guys soon.